So welcome everybody to this latest video on 162 Maths, and in this video we'll be going over some GCSE Maths higher exam questions based on some more difficult rearranging the formulae questions. Now, as always, I'll include a copy of the questions I'll be going through in this video in the description below, along with the mark scheme, as there are multiple ways of getting the correct answer, and also include a lesson link so you can go through this topic in more detail should you need to. Now, a little reminder that there will be a lesson link in the description below, so if you're wanting access to a more detailed explanation about how to deal with this particular topic, then just click on the link and it will lead you straight there. So let's get straight into these questions. Now again, access to these questions are available as a link in the description below, and I strongly recommend you have an attempt at these questions so you can see what your prior knowledge is like. So looking at question 1, it says make S the subject of v squared equals u squared plus 2as. So the first thing we need to get rid of is the u squared. So we do that by taking away. So we end up with v squared minus u squared equals 2as. Now, though we've got 2a on the same side as s, we can treat this as one thing. So here we can treat 2a as one thing, and so what's 2a doing to s? It's multiplying, so to get rid of it we divide. Now remember that when you're dividing by something, you're dividing everything on the other side by that thing. So here we've got s equals v squared minus u squared, all divided by 2a. Moving on to question 2, it says make x a subject in y equals 9 minus 2x. Now personally for me, I don't like negative x's, so I want to make it positive, so I take the 2x over to the other side. And then I can then start removing to make x the subject. So here I get rid of the y, so I've got 2x equals 9 minus y, and then divide by 2, so x equals 9 minus y, all divided by 2. Then moving on to question 3, it says make x the subject, and so here you can see we've got two x's, so you want all the x on one side and everything else on the other. So I'm going to take the cx over to this side, and I'm going to take the by over to the other side. So what I end up with is ax minus cx equals minus dy plus by. Then from this, what I then want to do is factorize these two things. So I can take x out, so that becomes a minus c. And again, you can flip these two things around as long as the dy is negative and the by is positive. So if I just flip those two, it's not essential. I could have left it as it is. But in mathematics, they tend to like things starting with a positive rather than starting with a negative where possible. So all that's left for me to then do is divide both sides by a minus c. So I get a final answer of x equals by minus dy all over a minus c. And again, if you've used brackets, then that's absolutely fine, or you could have left it as dy plus by all divided by a minus c. Moving on to question 4, it says rearrange p plus 2x equals 5 lots of x minus 2 to make x the subject. Now with this, because what we want to try to do here is expand the brackets first, so p plus 2x equals 5x minus 10. Then take the x's all onto one side, everything else onto the other. So I'm going to take the 10 over to this side and the 2x over to this side. So I end up with p plus 10 equals 3x. And then divide by 3. So I end up with x equals p plus 10 divided by 3. Then moving on to question 5, it says rearrange y equals 5x plus 9 all divided by x to make x the subject. So again, first thing you want to do here is take the x over to the side, so you get rid of the fraction. Then I want to take the 5y or the xy to the side. I'm going to do it this way, so I'm going to take that over to the other side. And then I want to factorize. And then get rid of the bracket. So my final answer is going to look like x equals 9 divided by y minus 5. Moving on to question 6, it says rearrange y equals 2x minus 1 over 4x plus 5. So again, we've got a fraction, so what I'm going to do is put brackets around the denominator and then take that to the other side. So what I end up with is y 4x plus 5 equals 2x minus 1. So then from this, what I then want to do is expand the bracket. So I get 4xy plus 5y equals 2x minus 1. Then take all the x's onto one side and everything else on the other. So I end up with something that looks like this. Then factorise the left hand side. So I can take, now I'm going to just take x. I could take 2x, but I don't need to factorise fully. I just want to take a single x out. So here I end up with 4y minus 2 equals 1 minus 5y. And then take the bracket over to the other side, so I get my final answer of x equals minus 1 minus 5y all over 4y minus 2. Moving on to question 7, it says rearrange v equals 4 over 3 pi r cubed to make r the subject. So again, I'm going to rewrite this as 4 pi r cubed over 3. Then take the 3 over, so it becomes 3v equals 4 pi r cubed. Then I'm going to treat the 4 pi as one thing and take that to the other side, so I end up with 3v over 4 pi equals r cubed. And then I'm going to cube root, so r equals the cube root of 3v over 4 pi. And there we go. Then moving on to question 8, it says rearrange t equals 2 pi over the root of L over G to make L the subject. So the first thing I want to do is get rid of the 2 pi first. So I get t over 2 pi equals the square root of L over G. And then I want to get rid of the square root by squaring, so that becomes t over 2 pi all squared equals 1 L over G. And then I'm going to take the G over to the side. So what I end up with is that L equals T, it's going to be G multiplied by T over 2 pi squared. Or I could write this as G over T squared over 4 pi squared. Or I could write this as G T squared over 4 pi squared. So again, so many different answers, and again, if you are confident that you've got the right answer but it's different to what I've written on the screen, then I strongly recommend you check out the mark scheme, which I'll attach in the description, to see if your answer is valid and correct.